Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny from Relentless and Unstoppable. Today we have Diana who has a story to share about using films to promote awareness on a cause. Hey Diana, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much, Doug.
Yeah, so tell our followers a little bit of what you're known for.
Well, I'm the founder and producer of Movies Making a Difference. And our mission statement is making socially conscious movies highlighting the injustice of human trafficking, child brides, child labor, and spiritual abuse, mainly in our country, and then also crossing over the borders of Mexico and Canada. And then with all the uh, proceeds from the movie, it all directly goes back to aid the survivors upon whom the film shed light. And we've been doing about 10 years, and I stopped counting a year or so ago. We were up at about 175 people that from this horrific upbringing had experienced. And we do everything from I go in and hands-on rescue them, and then they stay with us forever as we rebuild their lives, or sometimes build for the first time.
That's really interesting. So, slavery still exists in the United States, is that right?
It's rampant. It's absolutely rampant.
Explain to our followers how that is.
Well, I think that I'm trying to think. There's so many different types of slavery. I mean, the thing that you can say is that for all of them there is coercion involved. So in fact, there was a woman that was people had thought that she was a prostitute in town here, and the thing is that we say, okay, if this is what she wants to do, we're not going after women who have their own business. I might not want to do it, but we're not making a statement against that. It's the women that are either lured in because they think that they have a boyfriend for the first time in their lives that cares about them, and it's a step by step. It's called grooming, and they isolate them from friends and family. Most often go after women that don't have any friends and family, or young boys. Same thing. Foster care is a huge breeding ground for these kids. At age 18, they age out of the system and they're on their own. They're starting to do much more for foster kids, but a big group, I'd say like 90% of the ones for us are born into these religious cults where they're used for child labor. The girls, they have it be that's their religion to have a baby every year from childbearing age. So yes, there are a lot of pedophiles out there, but a lot of it is you just think if a girl's having a baby every year and then you add in and have it be a polygamous part of your religion, think of the workforce you can breed. So there's that kind of slavery. Then, of course, there's the slavery that's coming into our country where they're taking their passports and they're really indentured servants. We also find so many actual, seemingly, upstanding citizens. Like we had a doctor who had a young boy who came from one of these cults, and then the young man didn't feel like he is being, physically abused, but he's now working on this kind of vanity ranch, building the most incredible corrals and everything they needed in exchange for room and board. And the room and board was a old tumble down trailer without any running water. So he had to go to the bathroom, brush his teeth and everything outside. And the board was he'd get the scraps off of their plates at night. And this was a doctor in the community that no one would ever dream of this. Yet the young man didn't realize that this was indentured servitude. He could never, ever get off of the place because he had no transportation and was not being paid. But it was better than what he came from. and that happens so often to the girls who are either abused with drug addict families or been through horrible abusive foster care, and they get some wealthy man like an Epstein or something that they've been abused either way. So at least they'll say with Epstein, or someone like him, I'm getting to be flown to exotic places. I have wine and caviar. So if I'm going to be abused, I might as well do it first class. And that is so difficult. And then once they are on their own, they think that they're the ones that have made terrible choices and not realizing that they didn't have a choice. This was, they were coerced. So that's really what it comes down to.
That's really unbelievable. I wasn't aware of that. That's really interesting. What movies do you have that raise awareness on the cause?
The first one is called Cathedral Canyon, and you can see that on our website. It's at our website's moviesmakingadifference.org, and you can click on Watch Cathedral Canyon. And that movie won Audience Choice for Best Feature Film at the Palm Beach International Film Festival. And that's where I spend most of my time now, because when people watch the movie, they came out, just as you said, I was not aware this is going on in our country. And our movies they're pretty tough to watch. They're not documentaries, they're feature films based on true events, but they have uplifting endings. So when anyone watches it, they're like, just get through it, because the bad guys are going to get it. And it's inspiring. And they make people see that just all of us could just do a little bit, and we could help so many of these young people that are really trapped. Letting them know somebody loves them. When you see a house filled with young men from Central America, instead of saying, oh, look at these immigrants that are coming taking our jobs, think very likely they don't want to be there. They don't speak the language, they're slaves. So it's really important to be made aware of it. And that's what happened when people watched the movie in the film festival. They said, oh my gosh, what can we do to help? And that's when I turned it into a nonprofit, because along the way I'd met quite a few of the survivors. At that point was 10 years ago or 8 years ago. And I couldn't just say, hey, see y'all later. I raised some awareness, but now you're on your own. So I was so thrilled that I got the people to help, and we started raising money, started showing the movie at different benefits. Movie theaters would ask us around Florida to, show the movie, and we were able to raise enough money to start, one by one, helping all these survivors that have gotten out of it. And now, through those people that were been on the street, most of them, it started with the FLDS, the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. Warren Jeffs is now spending life in prison, but their Mecca is on the border of Arizona and Utah, Colorado City, but they're everywhere. There's little pockets all over Denver. They've now moved up because of pressure from the child labor, from food stamp fraud, tax evasion, and basically took off and now in South Dakota, Texas, California. It's rampant all over the place, and we just don't realize it. So when we get these kids out, so many that they're escaped, they're on the streets, and almost all of them contact me through instant messenger on Facebook, because they don't have a phone service, but they'll have old phones that if they're at a library or they go into a Starbucks or somewhere, they can, pick up the internet, and they have Facebook accounts and can text me, normally asking for help with somebody else. But so there are all of these homeless kids living in these, terrible areas. They are prey for sex traffickers. So now we're getting more and more that are, after we get them out of these or horrible circumstances, or once they get themselves out and run away and are able to escape, or the boys, you do the math, if it's polygamous, there's not enough girls to go around for all of them if the older men are all taking, 5 or 6 women for themselves. So they kick the boys out on the streets with no education. And so we have just as many boys as we do girls. But then they are either trafficked themselves or they meet, other girls and guys that have been trafficked and then give them my phone number or give them my Facebook account. And so now there's so many different types of trafficking, and sadly we're getting to know them all.
I see what you mean. So this is my last question for this particular interview. How did you begin the nonprofit? What was the process for it? Movies Making a Difference.
Well, it was when, as I said, that I did not want to just say, hey, I made a movie and raise some awareness and everybody's on their own. I thought, I want to take the funds that we're making from the movie, get all these people that now want to support us. And luckily, it was in Palm Beach, which is one of the most, or probably the most philanthropic zip code in the country. So when they are givers, so they wanted to give and help these young people. So that's when I just I didn't have any money. And if anyone wants to start a nonprofit, it is just not that hard. The paperwork, it's tedious, but I just got everything from the FLD, from the IRS, would call them, say, wait, I don't understand this question. They were very helpful. I think the whole thing maybe cost me, $600. And I never, got everything approved, and then was able to take, donations from benefits and everything and put them back in. And then our next movie, which is now in the film festival circuit, is called Cartel. And we were able to have 28 of the actual survivors alongside Donnie Most starring it. He was from in Happy Days, Ralph Mouth, Jude Tyler, that 70s show. Windsor Harmon reprised his character. He was in both films. He was from The Bold and the Beautiful, along with all of these young kids. Some of them, we found out on set, they didn't even know how to read. They had no education. And so the Hollywood actors all, coached them. And it was a fantastic experience. And we actually filmed inside of this infamous town of Colorado City on the border of Arizona and Utah. So, that's what we do. We make the movies, then start helping the people. And now it's time to, once again, start pre-production for our next movie, which is Carmelita. That's about the sex trafficking on the border of Mexico, really luring the girls and guys down from South America, Central America, and up into, our country. And also what we, how we've been sort of facilitating it, turning a blind eye for the factories we have in there, employing them, really, for protection. So, and the arms that we're legally allowed to sell to Mexico, American drug arms manufacturers can legally sell to the cartels, and 70% of their arms come from America. Need to stop arming them with their ammunition. Yeah. And that's our movie. Mm-hmm.
I see what you mean. So that's a very interesting story, and I hope the film turns out very well. And we'll definitely push it out here on the platform, and we'll get you back on the show again in the near future if you're interested.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'd love it.
Cool, and keep making a difference.
Thank you so much. You too.
Yep. All right, everybody. We'd like to thank Diana for coming on the show, and we'll see you next week for the next episode of Relentless and Unstoppable.